Leaving UCLA to become OSU's offensive coordinator right after Jim Harbaugh moves into the neighborhood? Chip Kelly proves there really is an upper limit on insufferable pricks in Los Angeles. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Mike Jones, joined as always by the guy who calls his wife Miss, Kevin Plum, Kevin Greck, and the guy who looks like he plays soccer, Alex Plum. Folks, you missed. So this is maybe our first episode
missing. Yeah.
This might be our first episode on
big miss.
Yeah.
There's still time to reset.
We're going to need to trim up the series after this. Anyway, Plum had a center part before we started recording today, and it is... I think it's fortunate. It's fortunate for everyone.
No, it's too bad.
You know what?
One day I'll bring it back.
Jesus, he didn't get that, and I've been told he gets us.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're listening to this on your phone or through the normal systems that you do, you're missing out on so much audio-visual splendor. For this is our inaugural video episode of Cannot Read, Cannot Write. And you've always thought, man, I'd like to stare these goobers in the face when they make these terrible sports, analogies. This is your chance. This is your chance to see what we look like.
I don't like this. I did a lot of laundry folding and ironing of shirts. And it's going to be awkward.
Putting on clothes.
When you see me standing up without pants on to do that in a couple weeks.
The old tubing.
The greatest loss in all of this is that we can't see your chest hair.
I know.
Like, I don't think I'm even... What am I even tuned in for at this point?
I know.
Well, once we do it enough, it'll come out. We do want to thank everyone for listening. And of course, if we could ask a small favor, please share the pod with Spartans in your life. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Of course, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_pod. And if you are listening on the podcast form, if you wouldn't mind going over and giving us a subscribe on YouTube, a comment there, whatever, I think that's important for the algorithm. It's also at Spartan_pod on YouTube, or of course, Can't Read, Can't Write. Plum. I know you were inundated with all that was MSU this week. Please, what are we doing on this episode? Give us a breakdown.
Oh, it's going to be rich and strong and good and mean. It's we're starting behind the green wall where football always leads. We've got preferred walk-ons, not 2, but 3, maybe more. Who knows? All we have are PWOs right now. We'll talk about men's basketball, where we will only say good things about the program because of the wonderful performance we had at Minnesota. Illinois slightly redeemed them, and so we may actually wax poetic about our hopes for the future. Very excited about the hockey team, wishing only we had someone that could come and talk more about it with us. We'll head off Grand River, where the only real news is that the fix is in, and my God, the College Football Playoff Committee could truly not give any less fucks about themselves or their own identity. We'll preview the Penn State game, a game at Michigan, which is yummy. And then we'll take your Twitter questions.
All right, let's head behind that green wall. And yes, the sport that always leads, football. MSU in the last week picked up 4 preferred walk-ons: Mason Nickel, Stone Chaney, Charlie Baker, and Kyler Brunnan. I believe 2 tight ends, an offensive lineman, and an edge rusher. I think we've kind of dabbled. I wanted to talk about this because we've dabbled around this topic a decent amount as it relates to what Jonathan Smith's strategy might be with preferred walk-ons. But a few things are interesting to me. One, the graphics going out for the PWOs are the same as every other player, which is not what we saw. Which is not what we saw under Mel Tucker, and a lot of local talent. So a lot of Michigan kids that are being picked up, which I got to believe matters for maybe identity of your program.
Sure.
And in one case, Stone Chaney, it was a low 3-star, but a 3-star with other D1 offers. And we've seen that now a number of times. This staff has picked someone up who, in some instances, at least had a group of 5 offer and chose to come to Michigan State as a preferred walk-on. I'm curious what you guys think of this. Is this just cute? Is it important culturally? Is this important depth? Like, anyone got any thoughts on this?
I think depth is a guarantee. We've talked a lot about the program not having guys that they can just stick in, whether it's
For practice.
just if it's practice, if it's a scout team, whatever, we need bodies. And this team has been plagued, as we know, by injuries season over season, inexplicably, and I should say disproportionately. So anything I think that we can do to get some more bodies here. And I think more to the point, some of these guys, as you've said, gave up D1 scholarship offers. It might have been to Hoople, but they're still coming. And I think that says something about culture, about hope for Jonathan Smith. So I think there's a number of positive ways to read this.
And speaking of Jonathan Smith, himself a walk-on.
Proud history. Be a solid pitch. That's got to be a solid pitch.
Come on.
Like you'll get a real opportunity. I got a real opportunity, and I made the most of it.
I know what it's like. I was once you. Come on. Come on down.
Yep.
The other piece of news that came out in the week since we recorded last is that MSU has added Prairie View A&M to replace the late canceling Louisiana. Prairie View is bad. Real bad. FCS, they're bad by FCS standards. I think this is a solid addition to the schedule. I don't know about you guys, but you're trying to make a bowl your first year.
Yeah, we were trying to play one of those games that U of M football played in 1894, against the Pioneer High School women's team. That's what we were rooting for. Prairie View, of course, as an institution, very proud. Historically Black land-grant college, oldest public institution in the state of Texas. However, we should absolutely annihilate them in Spartan Stadium. And that is what we wanted out of this scheduling. So
I think I heard Sheehan say that A&M played them last year, maybe. And they were up. I think they won 63-3, but they were up 49-0 at the half. So
this is what we're looking for.
Yep.
Yes.
This is the goal.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk some hoops. And I feel good. We do. And I feel good because I think the last 2 episodes our tone has, for the pod that came out, was immediately wrong. Last week we celebrated 700 wins and then immediately lost to Minnesota. Before that, we were super depressed and then won 2 in a row. And so with any luck, we've got a nice little schedule coming up here, and we come off of a big win against Illinois. So we've got some good things to talk about, but we've got to put some ice on the Illinois game by talking about the Minnesota game.
Well, that should be easy to do because this is one of the least encouraging games, perhaps, of the season.
And that includes the Wisconsin games.
Yeah. This is a game where, even when we were about to lose with what was that? 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and they started to go on their little end of game run. I was like, this Minnesota team is bad. And it has been bad the whole game. I know that they have a Christie, and I know that he went off for 5 for 7 from 3. Other than that, they had done very little. So low, when the whistle did blow and we were losers in this game, that was a low point for me, I think, in this season so far. And that's driven by the play of one Malik Hall, who we have been beseeched time and again to apologize to, and it will never happen.
Not gonna happen.
The door is closed. There's no forgetting. There's no forgiving this game. It's over. You lose. Good day, sir.
Good day,
madam,
sir.
In this case, it is not happening. This is who Malik Hall is. I know he redeemed himself against Illinois, but that is who Malik Hall is. He is not reliable, and this is not a team that you can expect to go any further than the first game of the second weekend of the tournament. Which I mean, I do think they are going to. But between the missed free throws, of which there were many in this game,
Yes.
Alex, and I'll hand you the floor after
Yes.
I'm done.
Yes.
7 for 17 from the free throw line, including a number of missed first.
Yeah, if you just shot normally bad, like just bad, but not like horrendously bad, we win this game. That's how bad they shot. 10 for 17 ties this game.
Yep.
And that's not good.
Yep. And the other thing that we learned in this game is Tyson Walker goes out, your season's over. Doesn't matter at that point. No one else is reliable.
Well, let's start there. Let's say that this team is Tyson Walker's team, and no bigger indictment can come for anybody. I am glad that you let off with Malik Hall because it allows me to ravage AJ Hoggard.
Oh, that's where I wanted to go.
If at the last time out of the game, the play call was truly for AJ to drive the lane and put up a junk ass 2 in heavy traffic, which only resulted in him batting it out of bounds, Tom Izzo is as senile as he is addled. There is no way in heck that was the play call, which means AJ decided to try an audible on a game that there was no reason to do as badly as we did. AJ, 1 for 6 from the field. Thanks. 2 for 3 from the charity stripe. Unfortunately, on the 3-point play, which, my God, why had he even attempted a 3-point shot? He, of course, biffs it. I don't know. On a night where we shot 7 for 17, coming for AJ because he went 2 for 3 from the line is probably not the strongest argument because, good God, there are a lot of others. Mady Sissoko, let's talk about 19 minutes and 2 points. Now, 6 rebounds ain't bad, but we've got to get more productivity from the guy than he's giving. Big credit to Tom Izzo for playing him only 10 minutes against Illinois. God, that felt great. But I really wanted to focus on the rest of the supporting cast. We all know.
Can we not skip after AJ real quick? Because there's more to it. Because it's not just that play. Tyson goes out, and then AJ is like, my team now. First of all, bro, you're not Tyson Walker. Because it wasn't just that play. It was the pull-up jumpers as well. They were horrendous. He was bad before that, too. Minnesota hard-hedged, contained, whatever, the entire night against our point guards, and he couldn't – and maybe this is on the centers. But, like, they couldn't break that at all. And because you don't have anyone who can meaningfully shoot half the time on the floor, it's not like you can even swing it around. He was bad. He was
AJ Hoggard 1 for 6 on 2s in this
1 for 6 on 2s. You know, I mean, only 1 turnover for him, which maybe is a record in positive attributes. 5 assists. He's had better nights by for sure, but 4 points in 30 minutes is just it is not. And because again, to the point, and it's hard. You don't want to go into the Illinois game, but what? Can I swear on this?
Yeah.
I was.
You
okay.
already
did
done
already.
it.
What the fuck? How do you compare what happened against Illinois with what are you doing? You're actively choosing to destroy everything. I do not and will never understand how he still is allowed to play basketball for us. I guess it's because Tom just hopes that every game will be Illinois. But I want to save my opprobrium, just what's left of it, for the rest of the guys. Because this was a night when Tyson went out that we really could have used some support from others on the team. Cohen Carr got 4 minutes and showed us jack shit for it. Jackson Kohler had 5 minutes, also did nothing. Xavier Booker at least went to the line and drained them both in the 3 minutes he played. Trey Holloman, though. Hi.
Trey Holloman,
Hi,
homecoming.
Trey.
Coming home
with
was
30
clearly amped up.
And in 22 minutes, tell me what his productivity was with all of that amping.
Yeah, no,
his
it was
productivity
bad.
was
2 points.
He made eye contact with everyone in the stands. It was
and
like
1 rebound. You have truly pissed your own pants at the coming home dance, Trey. Boo hoo. So this was just an all-star night of shit performance against the team. And by the way, you know that Tubby Smith has been walking around with an erection and he doesn't know why. This is why. Unearned.
what?
Compensated. And I'm devastated because
Tubby Smith's out there somewhere like, what's
what's
this
happening?
about?
How did I get this? Why are people?
And then Tubby Smith found out that it was related to this game, and he was like, why? Still why? I still don't understand it.
Because none of them are good. Everything is bad. He is bad. All of the teams are bad. They don't deserve anything at this point. I don't want them to go to the tournament. I do, I guess, for just the sake that I like the bragging on Tom Izzo's streak, but they don't deserve anything. This is just horrible. And I don't care what happened in Illinois. We can talk about it now, but this was.
Can we talk
horrible.
about what happened at your coming home dance? Was there anyone that pissed down their legs at your coming home dances back in Schwartz Creek?
It's all any of us did.
Are you?
It's just the culture.
It's the culture.
Are you of the impression that Minnesota is still coached by Tubby Smith?
No, I know that it's not, but I still am implying that like somewhere he's.
I was confused by that reference so deeply.
What's happening, and is something happening? Tubby Smith was the Minnesota coach for a long time. They were not good under him either. That's the point. It's like they weren't good. They're still not good. Somehow they beat us. Regression to the mean, but really regression to the mean, which is to say, like, this is the mean for our team, which is
so it's a butterfly effect sort of erection that we've got going on here.
It's not intended to make sense. It's really intended as more of a. I hope that this will make Tubby Smith go viral on Twitter.
I mean, for my money, this is the second worst loss of the season. James Madison, worst of the season. But like,
but knowing what you know now about this team, for me, I guess this is the worst and also the least worst. It's the least worst because it's the truest. It's the most evident of what the team is. But it is the worst because it is bookended by performances which show capacity and thus show choice. And that is what it is. It's choice.
To that point, we called it last week that this was going to be a split week. I feel good about that, so I'm calling it back out again. And if it had to be a split week, this is probably the way that you want to have it, though, because it's not a terrible, terrible loss. And we got the quad one.
Quad one.
Well, can we also... Tyson did have a nice game. Jaden Akins also played a nice game. Like,
sure.
Problem is the remainder of the team just didn't show up.
We did. We skipped over that, and I do want it because we've all come for Jaden Akins at one time or another this season already, and it was nice to see him shine. 10 points in Illinois was middling. I guess it could have been much worse, though. We know from his past performances. So.
Yeah, 6 boards though, but so where Minnesota did the hard hedge contain with their center against our point guards, Illinois said, I have so little respect for your centers that I'm just going to leave my center in the middle of the floor. There were many times Carson Cooper was out on, the top and the point, holding the ball and
setting a ball screen.
And their center just shacked the entire play. But that didn't matter. MSU comes out on top 88-80 in what I think it's fair to say Illinois played well. There were large stretches of this game. I think Michigan State only won or was only ahead for 14 minutes out of the game. And the 3-point shooting from Illinois was just slightly a tick above their season average, but it felt dominant at times.
Yeah.
Especially to start the game.
Yeah. So, this was a good win, not only because in the sense of like, numbers and net and all that other good stuff, but Illinois played well too. It wasn't as if, where Baylor played bad, let's say, and we beat them. Illinois was good. This was a good, gutty win.
Yeah, they played really good offense. They play really good offense as a team. And kind of like the opposite of the Minnesota game. I expected to lose with 2 minutes left, even as AJ and who got the other steal to kind of ice the game, put it away. Like
Tyson, yeah.
Tyson.
Yeah. I expected that to go the other way. I expected them to pull off the win against Minnesota. Really, no one should listen to me ever again, because as right as I might have been on paper, as right as I might have been on paper, it did not feel like it in this game. But credit does need to be given for bounce back games from Malik Hall and AJ Hogard and I guess Jaden Akins, but Minnesota wasn't his fault. So I guess we'll focus on Malik Hall and AJ Hogard because there were definitely not bounce back games for Cooper or Sissoko. Kohler played much better. Like something needs to be done in the front court. Jonesy, you were getting to this already. Like there is such an obvious glaring weakness with this team and this program because there aren't any more bigs coming in.
Yep.
That needs to be addressed. So I don't know, like who wants to convince Carson Cooper to like get in a car and just drive in a direction and then leave him, like do the old classic, like kick him out the door, throw rocks at him, like just abandon him somewhere.
He's the one you keep. Also, Jackson Kohler played the most minutes we've seen from Jackson Kohler and had 2 really fantastic offensive rebounds. I have a hard time coming after Jackson Kohler because he missed most of the season.
All of this for Carson Cooper. I apologize. Oh. I'm distracted by the video now.
Video.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Listen to us, Michael Jones. You insisted on this, and now look at what I've done. But anyway, last week we got a question from Sheehan about like, is this the ultimate like bounce back game potentially? And the answer that we gave then, I still believe, which is that there's a baked in expectation that our program should win these games.
Yes.
And do so
convincingly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
And that is not the experience that I had on Saturday.
No, nor did anyone else.
Which is why I turned to Bear Fight Whiskey, which I'm plugging right now because I'm reminded that you can see it finally. It's got 96 double gold winner little seal there.
Yep.
And it's going in this glass so that I might escape the memories of this week of basketball.
All right, but okay. So we dogged on Malik, and that's fair. But is it also fair to say that this might be the best game we've seen from Malik? Played it as most aggressive, kept us in it at times, it was a meaningful presence in the post, and has been playing in that space a lot more consistently than he has been. I'm not asking you to say he's been playing consistent, but has been more dedicated to providing a post presence to MSU that heretofore in the season we really hadn't seen because our bigs can't give it to us. Like, I think that's something. There's something there. He clearly needs to get better. Sure. Minnesota, we didn't talk about. He played a relatively speaking productive first half, and then the second half they double teamed him, and that shut him down completely.
Yeah,
he needs to be able to pass out of that. He can't.
Yeah, listen. Unlike this bear fight, there's no consistency in Malik Hall from week to week, and as solid as this drink might be right now. You can't rely on it. Who knows what this Malik Hall is going to be in the next game or the next game or the next game? We take the L at Minnesota because he can't do any of that kind of stuff, not contribute at all. I understand he's being double teamed, but 5 years in the program, shown this potential over and over again in these fleeting glimpses. I'm not willing to give him credit for it. I need it half the time, not a tenth of the time, not 20% of the time. I need it half the time or more. Because Tyson Walker is giving it every go. We probably don't give him enough credit on this podcast.
No, he's so you can take him for granted. He's that consistent.
Exactly. And so, I don't know. As nice as it is to get a quad one win at home, and as nice as it was that they put it away when they really needed to, usually that makes me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
There was very little about this game that actually ended up making me feel better.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's maybe worth remembering, when we went to Illinois, we ended up losing by 3. We're up towards the end of that game. But, 2-3 points is what Vegas will spot you for home court advantage, right? And then we do better at home. It's entirely possible that if this team play, I think the bigger point of frustration is less about, and you see this in rebounding. Illinois is a great rebounding team, and yet we out-rebounded them. Minnesota sucks, and we let them hang with us to kick our ass on the boards. So it's this team's playing at its competition's level that is frustrating, I think, more than anything else.
Illinois is right now KenPom 11, MSU is KenPom 16. So these are very similar teams on paper.
Just not in the records or pursuit of a Big Ten title.
Correct.
So CBS kept insisting that MSU was a last 4 out team because of the esteemed Jerry Palm. I can't imagine someone being more wrong about anything than Jerry Palm. I don't think any of us thought this was a last 4 out team.
I mean, they are right in one way in that this was the last guaranteed, winnable quad one game. No one's expecting this team to go win at Purdue. So if you wanted to pad the record a little bit, this was the one to do it. And they were talking about it at a time where I had no faith that MSU was going to end up winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't expect the broadcasting crew to have any faith. But
I also feel like the loss
they
to
did end up
Minnesota losing to Minnesota was very much I can't trust any game.
Right.
And I still we're going to preview these games and I don't know that we should win.
Yep.
Will we?
Yep.
Who knows? Should we talk about some other good things that happened this week, though?
Yeah. Let's talk about actual good things.
The Hockey Boys went and beat the Bad Hockey Boys.
Yes, they did.
In Ann Arbor and then in Detroit. Making a 3 out of 4 and a full for the year and a full sweep of Michigan in this series. That feels good. That's good for the pairwise. It's great for the Big Ten standings.
Yeah. 100%.
It secures home ice for the Big Ten tournament. So we love that.
That's a big deal.
We love that.
Come to mind.
Yeah. It truly, what Nice has been able to do with this program in just a couple of years.
Yep.
Staggering.
Yep.
To go take 3 out of 4 against a Michigan team that is loaded with talent. Staggering, man.
Yep.
It can't be understated how astonishing that this is.
Yep.
So the future is bright. And get out to Munn. Pay those secondary market prices. And get out to Munn. It's a good time. I mean, support this team. They're going to go to the NCAA tournament and they might make some noise, man. This might be a Frozen Four team.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Be. Yeah.
Could be. It's, the single elimination both makes it tough and exciting, right?
And exciting. Yep.
It gives you a chance to do something
Yep.
You get lucky on one night, right, against a bad matchup or something. So,
and if your hate is flowing, these wins push Michigan down the pairwise and a little bit on the bubble for the tournament. So that's
that'd be a real
twofer.
shame. That's a real shame.
Terrible for them. Terrible for them.
All right, should we head off Grand River?
Let us.
Okay. There was a Super Bowl that happened. Does anyone want to comment on that? I see it on here. I have nothing to say.
No, I don't
Plum,
think
did
so.
you watch it?
I did. Yep, I did.
How did it make you feel? Walk me through it.
No, we didn't have feelings. I mean, the transitive property says that since we beat Kansas City and because both teams played what could only be described as bad football the whole night, the Detroit Lions are the Super Bowl winners.
Indeed.
So-
Indeed. That was what I was thinking the entire first half was
Yep.
the Lions would have won the Super Bowl.
Would have won the Super Bowl. If Josh Reynolds had just caught one of the two balls he decided truly to just not catch, we would have won the Super Bowl. So I hope he lives with that for a long time.
Truly bizarre feeling and energy to be in. Like, I've never watched the Super Bowl with any stakes before. It's always been
never.
like this
Yep.
this amorphous thing that
Is happening.
happens for other teams, but not for Michigan's
Not for me.
team.
Yep.
But now
Mhm.
being able to see it under different circumstances and through a different lens,
Yep.
I
It's
don't like it.
upsetting. Yeah, it was upsetting. They were bad. Big bad. Big bad. Yeah. But what's made me feel better tonight? Foggy Mountain salted caramel whiskey. And I'll tell you this, the what I might once have called sickly sweet taste, I wouldn't call sickly sweet. I would just say sweet. I might feel sickly in the morning. But I don't know. You know?
And we won't podcast in the morning, so you listener won't know either. So
You won't know either. And that's why
So
you're listening
head on
now.
down to Foggy Bottom.
Foggy Bottom and get the Foggy Mountain salted caramel. Your girlfriend might like it. Your gay boyfriend might like it. I might like it. I could be both of those things to you. So, Foggy Mountain.
That
For
wasn't
us.
my understanding of where you.
Doesn't
But
matter.
anyway,
yeah, we'll talk about it later.
yeah.
And-
What
I'm
are
gonna
you
try
sipping
and
on over
forget-
there, Michael Jones?
I'm going to try and forget that plug because I am drinking our old friend,
the Bumbu.
Mr. Bumbo.
Yeah, it was the Bumbu. I called it. Ha! That's
Because-
good.
Hold that bottle up so that people can see the majesty of that thing.
Have a look at that.
I just want to show the color
Mm.
off.
yeah, it's good color.
beautiful.
It's good color.
It's a beautiful
look at that
bottle,
thing.
real cork.
Pops on the
And-
shelf.
It
really
is.
does.
It truly is delicious. Like this, no lie, it is my favorite rum by a lot.
It is.
really
It's
looks
sipping
like a-
rum.
It looks like a rum that fell off a pirate ship and like washed its way onto shore, and you just
There
pop the
should be
bottle
a
in that
ship
thing
in
and give
that
it a
bottle.
drag.
Yes.
There should be a ship
Yes.
in there.
Yes. Well done.
You know what? To celebrate Bumbu, we're gonna take another pull off of the old bear fight.
And I'll just do some gargling with Foggy Mountain.
Cheers,
Salty
gentlemen.
Your
caramel.
girlfriend likes it.
All right. Maybe your girlfriend, gay boyfriend. There's a lot going on there.
Have a foggy bottom.
Speaking of Foggy Bottom, though, and I know you want to move us on, at the neighbors we went to watch the game last night, we actually watched the Nickelodeon telecast for most of the game, and it was 100% worth it. So, if you haven't seen
How
that,
did they
go do it.
explain
The
the
Athletic
Travis
had a
Kelce
whole review of
yelling?
Romo today, being like, he's terrible.
Well, it's not good.
He really made a name for himself guessing like 4 plays
Mhm.
that offenses were running and
Yep.
signed a massive contract, and the rest was history.
Well done, him.
But how did SpongeBob handle it when Travis Kelce was yelling at Andy?
I didn't see that, and I didn't know the context of that meme, which has got to be, Jones, one of your best. one of your best tweets, and you've had some real zingers this
And
season.
not
I feel
enough
like,
people liked it. I think maybe it was just a little inundated. It was really. I saw it and I was like, I've seen this picture before.
You've seen this picture before. That was good.
All right, next up, Chip Kelly leaves UCLA to be the offensive coordinator at OSU. This was astounding because this isn't coach leaves for NFL job to no longer have to recruit. He very much has to recruit. This is UCLA sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the only conclusion that you can come to.
I think it's hilarious that Chip Kelly was on so many dark horse candidates for the MSU job. And now clearly that man was 1 foot out the door, ready to just go be a coordinator somewhere else.
Yep.
His agent was
Does
like,
that count?
please put me in for this job, please.
Yep.
Speaking of agents getting on the horn right away. Again,
PJ Fleck.
rowing the boat on Twitter like you would not believe.
I think this is where we have to pause again and just say, confirmed listener Alan Haller, thank you. Thank you so much for all you've done for us. My God. Because honestly, it's shaking out that Jonathan Smith will be, in fact, the best hire this college football season in terms of this offseason. We're not going to do better than him, especially for a program like ours. And not enough good things to say.
Which I heard from the Oregon State fans, less than UCLA. Obviously, we're seeing more evidence of that. Right here.
Yep.
Yeah, UCLA already made a hire, but I just no one goes to the games. Football is a priority, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't. Talk about a place though that has just fallen off, right? Even they're successful in basketball, and it's still there's not the same energy behind their basketball program. I just can't imagine. I don't know what it's like to be a student there, to be a program of that, a school of that historical nature, and to feel like everyone is so ambivalent to the success of your program is just wild to me.
Yeah, it's LA, baby.
There's
just so much to do.
Yeah.
You can hike. There's traffic.
That's it. That's smog. Smog.
Food.
Food.
There's good food.
Drive to
it. All right. Speaking of insufferable things, Ward Manuel, new college football playoff selection committee chair.
I gotta say,
credibility of that body.
My God, my Lord, and my God, I could not, and still do not accept this, but could not believe Condoleezza Rice is walking around with an erection and doesn't know why. I need someone.
She's like, Tubby, what's going on?
In my pantsuit, Jesus Christ, no. This is horrible. Word Manual is if you look up the word morbid in the dictionary, it's a picture of Ward Manual spilling over the collar in his shirt. Uncouth. The man has presided over, and I think this has to be true, but I don't know, more NCAA investigations against his program than any other athletic director in the University of Michigan's history. He has had at least as much negative
doozies.
At least as much negative press as probably has afflicted their university. He is in zero control of any of the main programs that he purports to lead. The president of the university goes out of his way to emasculate Ward Manuel anytime he gets in front of a microphone. And the cockasses at the college football playoff have decided to name him the chair. You couldn't prove your own ineptitude any more solidly than by hiring Ward Manuel. He is the definition of a cuck. Nobody respects you, Ward. You are an imbecile. And I mean, and if you take all of that and you put it away, if you just take it all and ignore it, put it in a box, what does it look like to have the athletic director of the school that just won the national title be elected to now chair the selection? It just, on its face, knowing if you knew nothing else, on its face, it is just a reprehensible and bald-faced decision to just rob it of its credibility and integrity. I can't. I haven't said enough.
A program that there was an argument perhaps shouldn't have been invited to the college football playoff. But
and
now
he does know he's going to have
it's
to answer
athletic director.
questions from the media, right? Like that is part
maybe
of the gig.
No, Santa
maybe
Ono
that's
will
what
do
this
it
is.
for him.
Maybe that's what this is. Maybe the whole committee was like, this whole question and answer thing is really uncomfortable. And Ward spoke up and he was like, actually, you can just not be accountable in any way. And it turns out that it's just fine. And they were like, are you sure, Ward? And he was like, put me in charge. I will show you how truly little you have to do in order to hold this position. Just give me the gig. And they were like, all right, if he's willing to do it, he's willing to put his robust mass in front of that bullet, we will let him absorb that. And that is what Ward has proven himself perfectly capable of doing. The problem is the national media and the amount of attention that goes on the college football playoff greatly exceeds that which he has experienced at the University of Michigan. So Ward, this is going to backfire on you, bub. But we'll see.
All right, let's move along to some other news. Reportedly, Northwestern is to hire Harlan Barnett as a new defensive backs coach.
We could have snuck this in when Plum was thanking Alan Haller. That was the time to bring this up, I think, probably.
I'm going to try the audio cutting here. I'll just going to cut that and then just
cut that. That's good.
No, it is a little bit sad, though, right? Like,
it's odd to see him in conference. That feels odd.
I don't know. Chicago's a great city. People like Evanston. It's pleasant up there. It's all good for him. I mean, the fact is, none of us have anything negative to say about Harlan Barnett, and
other than as a coach,
other than as a coach, and
as his chosen profession.
As his chosen profession. But I just mean he was in an unenviable position, making hundreds of thousands of dollars and really being required to do nothing, and in fact, did nothing.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't his fault. I mean, he was never the guy, and everyone knew that. And was he a bad DB coach? I don't know. It's frankly irrelevant. And Northwestern's going to figure out that if he's not great, but neither are they. So, in many ways, this is deck chairs, and good for him. He landed somewhere. He served us at a time we needed him to. He wasn't going to ever do good. He's not capable of that. So.
Yeah.
He's a Spartan. We love him and wish him the best where he goes.
So after all that, he's a Spartan. We love him.
Go green, Harlan. Go green.
Yeah. He's gone. He got paid handsomely for the time he's been here.
That's it.
Speaking of which, I didn't add on the outline, and I don't need to talk about it right now, but there was some Mel Tucker news this week. So we can maybe touch on that next week if it feels right.
Yeah.
We've got one lighthearted thing, and then we've got one serious thing. The networks are all teaming up to provide a shared streaming service for sports, which feels like cable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It has a real cable vibe to it.
Well, they're calling it Cable Town, too, so it's weird.
You subscribe, and you can get all these networks. If one of us has the game, you can watch it here. Isn't that
for the low price of $89.99 a month?
Yeah, I can't wait until that.
It's
and then you're still gonna have to get the BTN Plus. You're still gonna have to get Peacock.
Your Peacocks, your BTNs, your Paramount Pluses.
Your Peacocks.
You got your TBS online Zoom. All of it.
Yeah.
You got your ton of classic movies for the tournament.
great. Everything's
That's
in
so
black and white and played over
You
like
got your Spike TV.
I just suspect that this is a story that we end up coming back to at some point in time. That this this feels like a meaningful move. The networks are splitting ownership of this new streaming service, so it's wild. Curious to see. I wonder if there's antitrust implications. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's also that would be interesting though. Real quick, Jonesy. Sorry to interrupt you, but because it's Fox and ESPN, so it's the primary stakeholder for the Big Ten, of course, and the primary stakeholder for ESPN joining forces into
for SEC.
One,
you meant,
sorry, SEC. Forgive me. Distracted again by video. It's a new world.
Oh my gosh,
it's a new world. We're all just adapting to it. All several people that are going to watch this on YouTube.
The tens of you.
We need to do more visual sight gags so that people that listen on the podcast need to move over to YouTube, or at least check it back out again.
Yeah, so we get two.
Look, guys, look at what I'm drawing on the wall over here. Isn't this funny? I'm drawing such a funny, silly thing, huh? Truly must be seen to be believed.
This is horrible.
That's what happens when I get into the bear fight. Bear fight.
If you're listening to this today, this comes out though. It is worth mentioning that today is the 1-year anniversary of the shooting that happened on Michigan State's campus, and I don't. Certainly, I've been thinking about that as we went into recording, and I don't know. In some ways, I guess it's maybe worth reflecting a bit, because in the time after the shooting, I felt like my relationship with the school had changed. That there'd been some sort of I feared for that sort of youthful innocence that pervades East Lansing, and even as an alum coming back there, there's something about there's something free about a college town, and worried that it changed, and I guess I'm relieved maybe to say that in the times that I've been back, it's felt like the home that it was before. But Kevin, I would turn to you and ask how the year and that time has passed, and if there's any questions you have for, say, media members who might be listening that you'd like maybe reported on, since sometimes those get submitted.
Sometimes that happens.
Suggestions.
I think there are two things that come immediately to mind. One is credit that needs to be given to this community for its resiliency. The immediate days after that event were really bizarre here, and I don't think people really understood what to do, where to go. It was traumatic. Particularly the manhunt that ensued that evening. I think we all are familiar with that. But when the students came back to campus, the outpouring of support of the community, just people coming in from probably every county in the state, outside of the state, just the number of folks that thought it was important to be on campus to help bridge that gap for the students, I thought was, I was moved by it. But on the other side, it is strange to me how this place has moved on. For those that might be listening to this podcast but didn't experience the shooting for themselves, it's similar to the pandemic. It's like, we don't acknowledge it anymore. We don't talk about it. It's the past. We're moving on. We're moving forward. It was a very traumatic event. We were all affected by it, but we're not acknowledging it. It's impolite. So on one hand, I give a great deal of credit to this community for the way that it's handled this. On the other hand, I wish we societally were more open about this, because there are still moments that I think about this. This happened recently. I was driving down 96 eastbound towards UPlum.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a emergency vehicle coming the other way. And I just thought about like that night and how thousands of emergency vehicles from all over the state were pouring into the city. And I was like, God, it must have been so bizarre to be on 96 that evening and to just see
What's
police car
happening?
after police car after police car.
Well, I'll never
And
forget. I'll never
I got
forget
taken back.
Well, I'll never forget your face. I mean, we were here in the well, not Zencaster, but we were on Zoom, I guess, with each other, and your camera was facing just a little bit opposite because we could hear the sirens on your microphone. And you got up and went to your window, and your camera followed you and then zoomed in a little bit. And I just remember you looking back over your shoulder at us and looking back there. And that image will always stick with me. This sort of like, this is wrong. This is whatever this is I can't comprehend what this is, but it's very bad. But it can't be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, Greg, you said two things that were smart there, or not smart, but sort of telling there. One is that there's smart makes it seem like there was some, you are smart, but insightful maybe is what I'm looking for. One is that the outpouring of support is the same reason that you can go anywhere in the world and say go green to someone wearing Michigan State stuff, and they'll say go white back to you. There is a fraternity there that follows you.
Or maybe they don't say go white right away, but like they'll keep walking a little bit and they'll be like, oh crap, I was supposed to say go white. Oh.
Then you turn
You know,
around
they'll
and
have that
shout it with all you've got. Anyway, but you know, it's like if a Spartan reaches out to me on LinkedIn for like career, I will always take that meeting, right? Like there's something about Spartans looking out for other Spartans that is, because that place is so special and meant so much to so many in formative years or in their time there, like, you know, that you hold that. And that's why it was so devastating, even for me over here as a coastal elite, to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other thing that you said that about sort of the impoliteness of it, and this isn't unique to Michigan State. I would say this is true about every one of our mass shootings, and there are plenty. That at some point in time it becomes annoying and impolite to remind people that there was zero reason that those people had to die from gun violence.
Correct.
And so
or have their lives permanently altered through gun violence.
Right. Yeah. You know, we talked about that, you know, as we celebrate clearly Jeremy Fears' return to potentially being able to play basketball again. Right. Like I it's great to see he's athletically doing okay, but someone shot him. I hope he's okay. Like, you know, it's still, you know, as much as I enjoy being on campus, you look at the Union just a little differently than you might have before. And I wasn't there. So, you know, I just, I think we try and do an okay job, but it's not lost on me that we haven't talked a lot about this in a little while. And people died, people had their lives physically ruined. Plenty have had their lives mentally and emotionally ruined because of this. And it's all guns. So anyway,
which is why we'll continue to use this platform to talk about that.
Yeah.
And not perfectly. We're not going to do it perfectly, but we'll
that's right.
Continue to bring it up.
Yep.
Anyway. Oh, and I guess to circle back, Peacock, I believe did the best job of saying shot. They had the most, they were the most
said the word
direct about saying that Jeremy Fears was shot. There wasn't coded language or mincing of words. And so, Peacock, you get a subscriber in me.
We salute you. It's not just Condoleezza Rice. We also salute you right now.
All right. Should we preview some games?
Yeah. All right. So 2 games this week. First is about against Penn State, which is a team that we have not yet played. They are Ken Palm 89, 80 on offense,
Yeah,
106
didn't we play
on
them?
defense.
Yeah, we played them.
Sure, we played
Well,
them.
you know what?
Who can remember?
Then we played both
I
of these
can.
teams, and there's no need to preview anything.
Yeah, we're just going to
Everything is
win
previewed.
everything,
But-
win everything, lose everything.
Kevin, can you tell me Penn State historically doesn't care at all about basketball. What's their Ken Palm ranking?
89.
Oh,
And then you wanna
and
ask
Michigan's what? What's Michigan?
Good old 103.
Oh shit! Sad, pathetic Penn State who had to
Interesting.
rebuild their entire roster and just lost their coach and doesn't care at all about basketball is actually better than Michigan. That sucks.
It's interesting, huh? So they do have a win against Wisconsin. In fact, now both of these teams have a win against Wisconsin. We do not, notably. Jonesy and I have experienced that for ourselves. Palm wasn't there, couldn't make it, wasn't invited. But anyway, Penn State just lost on the road at Northwestern, beat Iowa at home. So, like, this is not a good team. They're reeling. But still, the question that I would ask this podcast, can you trust this team? Is this a week where we find out to what degree you can trust this team? These are two winnable Big Ten road games. Can you trust this team?
No, not at all. Of course not. Nor should you. If you are trusting this team at this point, you are dumber than you are stupid. Just stop. Tune in. Enjoy it. Enjoy the pain. Or joy. I'll tell you this. I watched the last 3 minutes and only the last 3 minutes of the Illinois game. And you can't convince me that wasn't the best we played all season. And I only had good things to say. No, of course not. I definitely watched the last 3 minutes, but I knew these idiots had butt-fucked the game up to then. And you should too. Penn State and Michigan are going to be absolute trash shows. We might lose at Michigan just for the fun of it. But that's this team this year. So, Foggy Mountain for fun.
For fun. You'll need it.
All right, let's do these Twitter questions. First up, Mike Jones. Was Harbaugh actually speaking about Brandon Naruto being born on third base, standing there thinking he hit a triple? I don't know this reference.
This is, for those that don't know, this is the hockey coach at U of M, at the University of Michigan, who has gone 1 for 4 against MSU this year. And he inherited a team that had just been to the Frozen Four and then last season put 3 guys into the top 5 in the NHL draft, something like that. So that is pretty born on third, isn't it? But we will see. We will see where this plays out. I know I talked to some hockey guy at one point. I don't know who it was. It's not relevant. That said that Brandon Naruto is a pretty good coach and could be a concern for us. But we'll see where this goes. So
Sounds
far,
like Knights is
I believe
a pretty good coach.
The head-to-head is now tied between Naruto and Knights. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Next up from Mike Jones. How shitty of a job is UCLA for Chip Kelly to bolt for a demotion in the same conference? Should we thank Chip for sticking around as long as he did?
I mean, there's a lot of this going around. People are saying.
People are saying.
People say.
Next up, Beth Amaro. What's more likely to be the highlight of this season? Steven getting his first points or Coach making it to his 26th straight tourney?
Steven. Again,
I've
it's
forgotten
the baked
about
in.
Steven.
It's the expectations. The expectations are to meet the tournament, to make the tournament. So the joy will have come from Stevie Izzo calling Kobe, bouncing it off the backboard.
But I do think we should be clear. The expectation is not to make the tournament. The expectation is higher than that. And it feels like we've all gotten a little, well, at least we made the tournament. At least like the Overton window has been shifted down for what expectations are in this. And I don't know that's good. I don't know that that's the way we should be talking.
So the answer is Stevie. Second up from Beth, with the Harpocalypse unfolding at the school down the road, while Spartan football is literally rising like a phoenix from the ashes, I think there's no question we cleaned their clock this year. Agree or disagree?
I'm always going to agree with that.
Certainly right about the trend. There's no debating that.
Yep. It is a bit of a disaster down there. You hate to see it. But they'll probably be still fine. They're still Michigan. They're not going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But I agree.
There were games that were won when Harbaugh was not head coach. Now, he participated in the entire week's prep up to that point, just didn't coach during the game. But there's a degree to which maybe this program can just be handed off. We'll see.
Next up, Matt Wiggins. What if AJ always cared?
Then we'd be undefeated.
The episode title for this, I don't care what they say, is going to be buy Adderall in bulk. So I think it's more attention and effort related for me than anything else.
Yeah, but I think that does speak about caring. That's willingness, discipline. I don't care. That's a lot of things, but the point is, I think the question remains: if AJ did any of the things expected of him, we wouldn't be undefeated, but wouldn't have. We have 10 losses or 9 losses now. 9, I think.
9. Yes. Yep. 15-9.
Yep. Next up, Kate Wall. For as great as Malik Hall was down the end of the game, I've never seen Malik Hall do that before. So what's to expect me to see him do it again? Mike, last week, 22-5 on Saturday, including 2 consecutive and ones to take and retake the lead for good. Did you see it again?
I did, Kate, and that's a really great call out. Malik was fantastic in that game, but you know what else I've seen him do again? 34 minutes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 points.
Kate,
1
I'm
for
sorry.
6 at the line. I respect your commitment to the bit. I really do. Please keep it up. Like, truly keep them coming. Keep calling me out. But if you think at minimum that I'm not going to continue to neg Malik Hall in hopes that he plays himself into consistency, then you are wrong. He's terrible. He's got to go. Play well, Malik. But 1 for 6 from the line. 1 for...
Yeah.
1 for 7, in fact. Dan Hellpepper is next. What does the custodial staff at Breslin do about Coleman Hawkins still laying there on the floor complaining about not getting a foul call?
Well, we didn't talk about the technicals.
I didn't see them.
Yeah.
I didn't see them because I only started watching at the last 3 minutes of the game, Michael.
So Coleman Hawkins got teed up like right away. Apparently, the way he tells it, a fan, while he was shooting a 3-point shot, shouted, "You suck."
Well, he does.
Fair. So he turned around and said, "Boom," and he got teed up for that.
Yeah, for yelling at the crowd.
Yeah. And then later on, Jaden Akins got teed up for talking at the Illinois bench, which also feels out of character. Like, if we're being real about who Jaden Akins is, I could see Tyson doing that. I could see AJ doing that. I could even see maybe Malik doing that.
Jaden. Yeah, all of those people.
But I also remember the reason it's alarming is because I remember Hunter Dickinson talking at Tom Izzo multiple times and nothing happening.
Well, so let's be clear. Season over season, the points of emphasis for the officials change. And this year, it seems like it's probably something around...
of emphasis.
Well, I'm just saying it feels like it's probably something around taunting. What's interesting is when I was still actively reffing in the NCAA, taunting was an ejection, not a yellow card, which is the rough equivalency of a technical. So I don't know. I would agree with you. I don't think saying boom to the crowd or probably saying almost anything to the bench is ejection worthy, but clearly.
I'd never seen anyone get teed for talking to the crowd before. That was new to me.
This was This was a very soft referee crew, though. I didn't recognize one of the officials. He called several, like a couple and ones for us in the last, again, 3 minutes of the game when I watched. But then there was that one foul on Carson Cooper where the guy is like literally.
It's not a foul.
It's not a foul. No, and everyone knows it's not a foul. That referee had to, because the and one was so soft that he had to get the makeup call. And that's the proof that makeup calls happen. I have made countless makeup calls because every referee has. There's not a single referee who's never made a makeup call. And if they tell you they haven't, they're lying to you and they're lying to themselves, because you just swallow the whistle sometimes. You just make or you blow it too soon. And then you've got to like commit to the bit and you feel like a douche ass. And then the next opportunity you have, you call the shit foul, and then someone yells, "Thanks for the makeup," and you just have to be like, I am an imbecile. I'm the imbecile. But you just hope that it all squares away. And it doesn't. You just look like a douche. And that's what this guy did.
Next up is
that's also why when you're Jaden Akins, you can't give them a reason to tech you up. That was just the
they were looking for it.
We didn't talk about that though. So Tom Izzo, as Plum, you might suspect, was apoplectic.
Sure.
Lost his shit.
And did not get teed up. Oh, I thought you were going to say the referees.
No. He was all the way on the other side of the free throw line. Like the key, he was on the opposite side yelling at Jaden
all the way out on the court.
And AJ Hoggard pushed him away. Many are saying that's the most leadership AJ Hoggard has ever showed. To be like,
it was also short-lived. It saved Jaden Akins like this much. And go on YouTube and see what I'm showing on the video feed. Because Jaden Akins got an earful for the next like 3.5 minutes as they went to commercial break.
But you remember Aaron Henry getting it, I think, and Cassius stepping in, right? Like, it was a bit of a moment. We'll see, because again, I trust nothing about this team, but we'll see if you've not seen AJ ever do that. You've never seen him step in to be like, "I've got this." We've never seen him do that.
Correct.
So that is a bit of a big deal.
But AJ is the one who can, like, AJ will like sort of collapse his shoulders and get down on Tom's level and have like the stop yelling, like I'm right here kind of thing. And Tom will like do Tom's thing where he kind of like looks around like it broke the spell. AJ is able to do that. And I think that's because Tom entrusts his point guards to be able to manage him. And I don't give, it's not praise. It's just an observation, but AJ does do it with some consistency. Last up from Dan Helper. With the best question that's ever been asked on this podcast ever. Since Brad Underwood has proven to be a ham with hair, what cut is he? Shank, butt, or spiral slicey? It's a good question. It's my favorite question.
Shank. I like Shank. I really like the comb over. Whenever he turns around to look at the bench.
Pink.
It's just like you can see through the 4 or 5 strands of the comb over.
But he's pink. He's a pink person. He's ham pink. It's great.
He definitely looks like someone that should not be able to recruit basketball youths
at any level. Yeah, and
he does feel like someone who should be able to negotiate for the waste management responsibilities of a town in New Jersey.
That's right.
Though.
He seems like he's in the wrong gig. Mm-hmm. He seems like he should be like Ames, Iowa Ford dealership salesman of the year. But
he should have been.
He's a
Jim Jordan's wrestling coach understudy. That's what we were going for there.
Next up is Jarrett Carpenter. Why does Tom Izzo not get more technicals? It seems he says some terrible things to the ref, and then they give it to Akins and Coleman, and they give Akins and Coleman tees for taunting. Plum, why can a coach say truly horrendous things and not get teed up?
They do. The things I was paid to put up with, and any other Big Ten official has been paid to put up with, it's because the coaches in the Big Ten, at least for soccer, and I'm confident this is true with basketball to a large extent, The coaches set the assignments. And when I say set the assignments, what I mean is the coaches choose who makes the list. The coaches rank the referees. The referees' rankings inform whether they make the list, whether they're going to be selected for conference officiating duties. And so if you're out there willingly teeing guys up, you will not be on the list. There is no independent arbiter. This isn't like there's a like referee wizard who watches 900 basketball games a week and is just evaluating every single referee and being like, you are the objective best, you have made it. No, it's all politics. It's who you know, how often you see them, and whether both a combination of your own skill and fate have conspired to lead you onward in your path. And for every amazing referee who is working in the Big Ten, there are 4 or 5 others who are just as good technically who didn't win the politics lottery. And so the guys that are there are just as good at politics as they are at officiating the game. And they know that they can tee up Tom probably once every 4 years. And so that's about the rate of the number of officials that exist. And that's the number of times that Tom gets teed up a season. Generally no more than twice. So that's the answer to that.
I got to imagine there's some magic words he can't utter, though.
Sure. He's never going to, you can say, what the fuck? You can't say, fuck you. You know, that was fucking horrible. Yep. You can say that. Your mother's a fucking dog. You can't say that. Right. So like you can dance around, like all swears are not created equal. And that's, but even if you can use the word, it's how you direct it, you know? So
sure. Yeah, not directed at the official, but at the call.
You didn't say it to him. It's the call. The call. I'm complaining about the call or whatever, you know, and anything that you can do, but you just never know, you know. And then all of a sudden they get, you know, I mean, that's by the way, I'm frankly, I was astounded that Collins got ejected. I was astounded Courtney Green ejected him. Courtney Green probably won't see Northwestern for the next season or two because what happened against Purdue is so flagrantly outside the bounds of acceptable that Collins frankly should have been allowed to say whatever the fuck he wanted to him. And I can only imagine
Collins did all of us a favor.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Threw himself on the
did.
fire for the Big Ten.
Yeah, and he did a great job. I mean, the things he said had to have been truly, truly bad. Like,
remember that time that Fran got in the staring match with the official?
Yes, with Kelly. With farm boy Kelly.
That should have been teed up.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, but like Ward Manuel in front of Santa Ono, he said, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. May I have another, sir?" And Kelly told everyone at that point that, in fact, yes, Fran, Iowa's head coach, has controlled Kelly getting on the list, and Fran told all of America, "I own you.
I own you."
And that's why Kelly hasn't done as many Big Ten games this year
at all because he can't.
Well, he did the one. He did.
It's also because he's so barrel-chested that he needs 2 plane tickets to fly anywhere. It's just prohibitively expensive getting him out of South Dakota. So.
Next up is Ali. he only does one carry-on, and he might check one bag. He can't do.
Yeah. It's too much.
He wears his uniform when he flies too. It's really unbecoming.
It's more than 3.4 ounces. All right, next up, Ali. Since Wednesday is a road game, what new excruciating way will this team lose to Penn State? Who do you have your money on not showing up? Well, Kate, it's Malik Hall.
But it is. And Madi will also be
there. But that's what you put our money.
We know that.
Yeah, okay.
We've established that will happen.
Oh, okay.
Next up from Joe Ashworth, what snacks and beverages do you consume during the Superb Owl?
I'm actually more curious, Kevin, for you to answer this question. Mm-hmm. Did you go somewhere or did you just stay at home and sort of slop the gruel?
We slopped the gruel.
Yeah.
It was a gruel slopping evening over here. We had no interest in doing or going anywhere. I barely watched the game. I snuck in. I nibbled at it.
Yep.
Like so many rice cakes.
The gruel?
Yep.
And then I was back out again. Because I just, after watching it and after coming to that conclusion about the Lions, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it anymore.
That's it.
And I was glad that I didn't have to be somewhere social and put up with social things. Ugh.
Mike, what did you make for the game? I just assume you used this as an excuse to cook something delicious.
I did. Yes.
Not you.
We had I'm going to choose to believe that
No,
this is still for me.
it's not.
We
It
had
was never.
a fine Soylent. It was powdered Soylent with like a nice cacao powder on top of it, with a little bit of peanut butter in there, on a
God, that's a
served
lot
on a
of flavors.
spoon
It's a
next to it.
lot of flavors for you. Yeah.
So
All right.
food.
I had some pulled pork that I then I had some smoked pulled pork, and then I turned it into tacos. That's
Okay.
I didn't watch the game, so
I'd
Yeah.
rather have Soylent.
took the pork
Next
butt,
up from
smoked
Nate
it.
C. Yeah. This weekend was a really great sports weekend, helped along by U of M losing in nearly every sport possible, including somehow football. Speaking of, do you think we'll see a mass exodus of players from that program? It's a good
Well, they
question.
had one, and I've been told he made the call
Yeah.
an hour before the Super Bowl, guys. An hour before the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Who would do that?
I don't know what the implication of that is. Why does that
Right,
matter? Does that?
That's kind of my point. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Truly,
That's the joke.
who cares?
Last up from Nate C. It's past time that hockey led. They're number one in the Big Ten. Just swept. We're number one in the Big Ten. Just swept scum and played the best sport. Your boomer-esque stubbornness to stand on tradition will be your downfall. Why?
Nate, the data leads. The data leads.
The subject of that sentence seemed to jump around a little bit. I'm not totally sure.
I think he's calling us cowards for not leading with hockey every episode. I think that's what this is. It's
that was what he meant.
monopoly in nature.
Oh, I read it as past tense. He did write it's past time that hockey lead, but I just assumed I assumed differently. Okay, sorry, can't read.
Yep.
Next
and
up,
that's frankly why football continues to lead. Go ahead.
the Geetski, create a whole segment on NIL updates. I do think if we turn this podcast purely into a bit of a sort of a rag, if you will, where we just covered NIL gossip throughout the country,
just the T on NIL,
that might be a very successful podcast. But Keith, there's not enough juice there. Like,
they keep it really close to the chest. Still, 24/7 had a article that came out either this week or last week that was like anonymized players talking about their NIL experiences, and even then, I didn't know that I could trust it. Just reading through it, it was this
we could
whole
go
system
through the roster
is,
and read the on-3 projections.
Yeah,
just one by
this
one.
whole system is just gnarly, and there is, as much as we like to poke fun at coaches deciding to stop being head coaches and go be, coordinators places, I also kind of don't blame them a little bit because it's crazy out there right now what's happening.
Next up from the Key-Ski, does Grooch talk like this when not recording? Example, you got your Butlers and your Indianas and your other teams. If yes, why do you like him? Keith, Greg is so much worse than you realize. He's constantly workshopping bits. And you know what? I don't even talk to him that much. If you hear his wife talk about the way he just is,
yeah,
he's got his bits, he's got his contrivances, he's got
his voices.
I personally like the taste of his mouth, and that's why I'm friends with him. I do.
The first person to ever say that. That's the kindest thing.
It's true. It is true. Yeah, it's one of my perversions, as it were.
Yeah. It is true, Keyski. I can assure you, it's so much worse in person.
You get what he's workshopped all week.
This is the sanitized kind of like sanded down version of Grooch on this podcast.
In case his mom listens.
If you're not watching from home, you'll notice that Jones and I are generally looking into the camera. Kevin's not, because everything he said tonight has been scripted. And that is the hardest part for us in the podcast, is trying for us to maintain some sort of organic thing with him actually reading something that
he's practiced this
for 40 hours this week.
I'm like a really bad amateur stand-up reading my bits off of my phone, and then I like just sort of give up at the end. If you guys ever seen this at an open mic night, where they just sort of read off their phone, and then they're like, "Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks, that's my time. Bye." That's my podcast energy. Okay, I think that's it for me. Okay, bye. You got your bad bits. You got your crappy jokes.
Yeah. You got your tasty mouths. All right, next up, Momopoly.
Oh, you skipped one from the case.
I didn't. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. It's about AJ. He sucks. We know. Move on.
It's got a visual aid.
It does have a visual aid.
When we're on YouTube, we can't show.
You won't see. You're right, Keith.
Share screen on this platform.
All right, Momopoly says, MSU announced in honor of the 1-year mark of the campus shooting, classes will not be held on February 13th, and that while classes would resume on the 14th, exams and assignments were not to be made due on this date either. If you were on or near campus, where would go to reflect?
Okay, that's a long windup for...
And added nothing.
It was not relevant.
I kind of wondered if maybe we'd be nice to her because of the subject of this question, but I think we have found that no.
Chose against it.
There is no bounds.
I'm going to choose to answer it sincerely. I could do a little campus walk, just a general campus walk.
I think it's a campus walk. Yep.
I thought you were going to say Thursday? Rama.
Yeah. Also that. Also that.
I think the Red Cedar.
All right.
Yep.
Let's see if we can do better than this. Next up from Momopoly. Post-game, Brad Underwood was asked about lead changes and ties as the story of a lot of Big Ten games this season, followed by, quote, what separates teams in those moments? What's your answer? Successful free throws, turnovers, mental toughness, and focus. His answer was Zach Edey.
Is that true? Was that really his answer?
The question was
there was hair.
There was a question about the parity within the Big Ten this year. That so many ranked teams losing on the road, and then so the question was about separation, and his point was that Purdue is in a separate class. That's it's a good question. I don't know that his question is wrong though. Zach Edey is both giant and good, so. But give credit where credit's due. Excellent.
That wasn't the question. And that's a stupid answer if that was the answer to that question, though I will accept it was the parody question. Yeah, I mean, turnover, I guess it's mental. It's mental toughness and focus. I think that's it. Because if you have that, you make the free throws. You don't drive the lane.
Off to Big Ten.
Well, I don't know about the Big Ten. I can only speak for Michigan State. But you look at Illinois, should not have lost to us at home. Are you kidding? Yuck. Boo earns. And how do you explain Minnesota? Listen, Max Christie's brother, Dax Christie, could not possibly have had the night that he hadn't it been for mental toughness. The Christie family is so consistently bad at anything that they try, including physical appearance, that it is inconceivable you could... Kevin laughing head totally took me out of it.
Dax Christie just made no attempt to look up the name. Oh, he's got all the tools. He chose to dispense with all of them and go with Dax.
Also, dear watcher, if you're wondering why Greg's holding his ears, it's because the AirPods will fall out while he's laughing.
The AirPods are falling out because of Dax Christie.
I really tried to commit, and I couldn't. You were laughing too hard. I had to laugh too.
I wonder if age is part of the answer. The Big Ten's pretty old this year. So maybe there's something about you just not losing it on home court. Yeah, that too. They're all cashing in checks.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Well, but that is the question. How in the world has NIL made them like? I mean, I would like someone to do this qualitative study. How has NIL helped some of these guys come to terms with they were never going to make the league, but at least they have something. And since they got their nut, what the fuck's the purpose? At least if there was still the hope because they weren't getting shit in college, then they were actually try. I have to think that's Malik Hall. Malik Hall's always never going to make the fucking league. No, you guys are not.
Tell me more about how you think unpaid internships are a good idea.
Nothing. Hey, we all went through them and we're stronger for it.
Yep. We're all better for it as a result.
No. All right. Who's next?
I don't believe that. Mr. Neurotic Pants, Jonesy, would you punch a senior citizen in maize and blue?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I thought you were going to go with I have. And then next from...
Okay. Can the Butthurt Brigade tone it down and appreciate that Izzo is a man of honor who is the longest NCAA streak in existence?
Oh.
Are we the Butthurt Brigade in this case? It seems like we are.
We should be.
But I did say indeed earlier that shouldn't be enough. I appreciate that his floor is so high. But it feels like that's all we've been playing for 4 years. Am I wrong?
Well, that came after the Ken Pom COVID year national championship, Michael. So,
but we didn't get it.
Highest highs. I guess, Mr. Rodderpants, my question to you would be this: what's your preference? Do you want the streak, or would you trade it? As your Carolinas, as your
Dukes,
as your Connecticut's,
Connecticut's
have done, you trade it for an actual natty. I would trade the streak for an actual natty. I would if losing the streak meant winning a natty, I would sign that dotted line anytime.
Correct.
So
yes, 100%.
I think that's where this comes from, Mr. Neurotic Pants. Of like, it feels nice to be invited to the dance, but it'd be nice to be crowned every once in a while, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But instead, Malik Hall doesn't show up and we piss down our pantsuit or whatever. What is it?
All of our khakis.
The coming home dance, the khakis? Okay.
Coming home piss khaki.
Next up from the Upper Deck Jerk guy, why can't we see the Spartans play their best at the same time? I think we got fairly close to that in the Illinois game.
And we've seen it at times before that. I mean, are we just kind of walking away from the Baylor game and the second half of the Arizona game? I mean, it's happened, but they're just too inconsistent. That these things will never overlap perfectly because they're just too inconsistent. Next up from the Upper Deck Jerk guy, can we see a Frozen Four team at the same time as a Final Four team? Well, we are not seeing a Final Four team. So not this year. Maybe someday in the future.
I don't know. I can't commit to that. I can't.
You're holding out hope that this team goes on a winning streak?
I am, because here's the thing. They can get a couple matchups maybe that are favorable. And then I mean, we saw it against Arizona, we saw it against Baylor, we saw it against Illinois. They are capable, and it's so maddening. I can't not. It's not in my DNA.
Take away their NIL. They get their NIL back if they win the Big Ten tournament.
I believe this team, as much as it could have missed the tournament, is also completely capable of competing for a national championship. I believe that.
I think if you're right about this, it's because maybe the haters are right about college basketball this season generally. I think there's an expectation that if UConn is good, it means that there's no like spectacularly good team, and no one trusts Houston, even though Houston's been like reliably good over the last like 10 years now.
Yes, literally 10 years.
And truly no one trusts Purdue because they shouldn't.
Because Matt Painter made a deal with the devil to get a Big Ten coaching job, and he said,
Also, I'm
That's
going to say
banana.
something here. We are all writing off the game in West Lafayette, and I understand why. We
Yes.
should.
Yeah.
It's right. It's the rational, mentally, emotionally protective thing to do.
Yeah.
But what if they win?
But what if
What
Zach
if-
Edey gets hit by a bus? I mean, all of these things, Michael. All of them. All of them.
I think
Yep.
actually Zach Edey would beat the bus. I think he's just such a huge lump of human
Correct.
that the bus
My fault.
would be total.
I'm wrong.
But maybe a second bus could finish him off. And finally, from the Upper Deck Jerk guy, I like this question.
Yes.
So we're going to use it.
All right.
Is Sherrod Moore set up for failure? Will Smith last
What's
at
Will Smith
MSU
doing?
longer than he does? Keep Will Smith's football
Name.
team's name.
Your damn mouth.
Will Smith last longer at MSU than Sherrod Moore at U of M?
I thought it was Sharon Moore. So I've been.
Yeah,
Sharon.
it's definitely Sharon Moore.
Is it Sharon? Oh, good. Because I was like, oh shit, I got to start calling him Sherrod.
No, good job. You guys
All
are
right.
better podcasters than me. Who knew?
No, it's okay. I just think
You
Yeah,
got your
it's definitely Sharon Moore.
Sherrods. You
It's
got
definitely
your
Sharon
Will
Moore.
Smiths.
you got your casual racisms from the Upper Deck Jerk guy not caring about the black guy's name. Back. I think it's too soon to answer this question. I mean, other than to say it'll be Smith, but I
Will
don't know.
Smith.
I think it's a question because I think, the thing with Moore is he's not ready to recruit anything by himself yet. And it's a virtual unknown. You can't give him credit for leading the team through several victories this season while Jim Harbaugh was pretending to care about NCAA sanctions. So this is anyone's guess. Real rich rod situation, probably.
I mean, if you just look at what's happening since they're hiring, there is one program that's clearly ascendant. Now, granted, from a pretty weak place, not a lot of room to go down from there. But the other one is not exactly capitalizing on
Correct.
what it just experienced.
Yeah.
So,
or the 2 years prior. Like, it's not
Right.
just the Natty. They didn't capitalize on 2 playoff appearances before that either.
Yeah.
Because
Well
every
said.
season, Jim Harbaugh said, "Hi, NFL, please take me."
Yes.
yeah. And the NFL was like,
No, thank you. Yep.
Until they weren't.
Gentlemen, let's raise a glass.
To foggy mountains and bear fights.
Foggy bottoms.
Go green.
Bare bottoms.
Go green.
Go
White.
white.